Hi, everybody. Welcome to Big Game Bound, coming to you live from inside the WFLA studios today. Usually we've been outside all week. I'm Jack Doles. That's Chris Hagan, JB Biunno, and Jarrett Payton will be here shortly. But the threat of rain outside's brought us inside, Chris.
I know I didn't bring my fancy inside clothes like Jack, but I apologize. It's all about the content, though, people, not the wardrobe.
That's true. It doesn't matter if we look good. It's if we sound good and kind of know what we're talking about. But let's show you the playbook. Here's what's coming up on the show. Some great guests. We've got Chuck Pagano, former Colts coach and Chicago Bears defensive coordinator. Also, Kenny White, the Wizard of Odds, will join us. We're going to break down the Cleveland Browns. That's our team focus today. First, though, let's bring in Jarrett Payton, everybody, from Chicago, and he joins us, and as always, he's got that beautiful Lombardi trophy in the background.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
That Lombardi trophy meant a lot to your dad.
Oh, man, it meant everything to my dad, and just to be able to get it, we got to find a way to be able to get another one back here to Chicago. I think that's what a lot of Bears fans are talking about.
Yeah, and that's what they're all playing for, and they play for it tomorrow, Chris. Tomorrow is the day.
Good stuff. Now let's bring in somebody near and dear to my heart, former head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, most recently defensive coordinator with the Bears. I used to host a show with him. It was Colts Playbook with Chuck Pagano, but today he joins us on Big Game Bound. Coach, good to see you. How you doing?
Doing great. Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Now, Coach, he was great on the show. The best parts, though, happened during the commercial breaks with Coach. He's got a great personality. I told him when he retired he should hit the stand-up circuit. Maybe he'll do that. But first, Coach, let's pick your brain. Obviously, you guys took down Tom Brady and company earlier this season. How do you get ready for a guy that's seen it all, done it all, and knows how to win big ball games?
Certainly no easy task. And, we were fortunate. I think we got out of there in Chicago on that Thursday night with a 1-point victory, and going against Tom, faced him a lot of times. He doesn't look any different today than he did. I remember going back to the AFC Championship game in 2011 when I was at Baltimore, and he looks the same. So the guy's seen it all. He's a great operator. He's doing a great job running that offense. They've done nothing but gotten better, since our game, since we played on that Thursday, and after the bye week, they've been on one heck of a roll, and it's mostly because of this guy, and they've kind of found a rhythm, found an offense, found the system, the scheme, that fits him, and BA's done a phenomenal job. Byron Leftwich, all those guys on offense there, Coach Clyde, working with Tom, but the guy's amazing, and like I said, you got to do one heck of a job of trying to disguise and move your guys around, and do well on first and second down. Try to get them in third and long, and then hopefully get some pressure on him, and force him into some bad plays. But he's playing at a high level.
Chuck, the mark of a coach who has left a legacy is one with a coaching tree. And one of the coaches off your coaching tree is Bruce Arians. How proud are you to see him in this position to get his team to a Super Bowl?
Man, I'm thrilled to death. And it couldn't happen to a better guy. BA's done it the right way. He's done it the right way his entire career. Our story is well documented going back to 2012, but to see BA sitting here on the cusp of possibly winning a Super Bowl as the head football coach, I couldn't be more thrilled for him. And Harold Goodwin, Joey Gilbert, Clyde Christensen, all those guys were on that first staff back in 2012. But and we all know what he did for us, and did for the Colts. And while I was sick and away for those 12 weeks, all he did was go out and win 9 games, go on the road, beat Kansas City, clinch a playoff berth, all that stuff. So I can't be more excited. You can see I'm wearing my Bucks gear, so everybody knows I'm rooting for. We won't mix any words with that, but he's a great football coach, but a better man, a better guy. He's awesome.
And Coach, yeah, it's we've seen Arians has retired 15 times now from the league. You pulled him out and brought him in that season in 2012, and look where it led to now. But you have some history also with Jared going back to those days of the U. So, JP, why don't you jump in there and go down memory lane with Coach?
Oh man, Coach, I can't tell you how much I'm just so grateful to be able to have you in my life. I mean, from home visits to bringing me down to Miami with Coach CJ and Butch Davis, and just you know what it takes to win. And I think that's what's so special, is that everywhere you've been, you instill this sense of leadership and grind and grit, and especially on the defensive side of the ball. And I remember just not too long ago, before you got the job in Chicago, I called Ed Reed, and he was coaching with you. And I said, man, please tell me one thing that you learned about from Coach Pagano. He said, being smart when it comes to playing football games. How does it feel to be able to kind of leave that legacy with guys like Ed Reed, Hall of Famers, and all the guys that you coach in college and also in the NFL?
Well, obviously I'm blessed to be around some great players, Hall of Fame players, throughout my, college and NFL career. So it's always been about the players. It's always been about relationships with me, JP. We started ours, way back when, we were at the U. And we always talked about those relationships were going to be for life, and here we are. How many years removed, from the first time, our paths crossed. And again, just to be able, that's why I got into coaching. It was the competition. It was the grind. But it was mostly about the players. It was about the relationships with the players and the coaches and all those things, and being able to, grow and learn from players, and then be able to help guys, both on and off the field, and prepare, for not only game day, but for real life stuff. So I'm truly blessed. I've had just an unbelievable journey and ride to this point, and I'm grateful for all the players, all the staff, everybody that, and no more grateful than my last 2 years in Chicago and being part of that Bears organization. The McCaskey family, and it's just amazing.
Coach, you talk about faith, family, and football. It's means so much to the Pagano family. Your dad, Sam, a Hall of Famer out there in Colorado. I know how much the game means to you, so I got to ask you, we made a joke about Bruce has retired 17 times and come back. You're a very youthful 60 years old now. You've retired. Is that the real deal, or is the right thing could maybe pull you back into the game?
No. I start babysitting my grandson here March 1st. The first little boy in the Pagano family out of all the daughters. So let me get through 3 months of that, and then I'll get back to you.
Well, you'll still be involved with the game. Obviously, you're a student of the game. You love to watch it. Is that something that will ever get out of your blood, whether you're a TV guy, a babysitter guy, or whatever you're doing? You're still going to love this game, aren't you?
Yeah, no doubt about it. You just can't, put it down and walk away and not be, connected in some way. So got a lot of players and a lot of coaches and, people around the league, my little brother who I, root for and never say never, but I'm going to enjoy this time, and my family sacrificed so much, as and we've been through a lot, and I've got great perspective on things. So hopefully I get 20, 25 more, really good, healthy years to help my kids raise their kids.
Well, before we let you go, Coach, going to put that D coordinator hat back on one more time. You think about, we talked about what a nightmare it is getting ready for Brady. What about the other offense, Patrick Mahomes, weapons for days? How do you even game plan? What do you try to take away? Is there any way you can really get ready for that dynamic unit?
Yeah, that again, that's a tall order and no easy task. And I go back to the first game, that Tampa and Kansas City played earlier in the year. And I know one thing, Coach Bowles is not going to allow, number 10 to wreck the game like he did a few weeks back. He had 200 yards in the first quarter alone, 269 total, 3 touchdowns, 13 catches. So we always identify who's the game wreckers, who we got to stop. And they've got a ton of them, but you got to start somewhere. And I think it starts with number 10 and then number 87. And you do the best you can to make sure that those two don't wreck the game. And then they've got pass rushers, they've got JPP, they got Sue, they got Vita Vea, they got Barrett. They've got guys that can put pressure on the quarterback, and get to Mahomes. And they're going to have to cover for not only 3, 4, 5 seconds, maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 seconds. It's going to be the extended plays, with this kid. He's a magician, back there. And it doesn't matter if he's moving to his right, if he's moving to his left, backwards, falling down, behind the back, between the legs. It doesn't matter. The guy is just a phenomenal talent and a great competitor. So I would start with saying, hey, look, we're going to, I don't know if they ever want to run the ball. Andy Reid, I don't know if Coach Reid's ever wanted to run the ball. He may hand it a couple times, but I'd keep 4 there. I'd keep 7 in coverage and make them run the ball and try to tend to those 2 guys first. And then if 17 gets me, he gets me. If 11 gets me, he gets me. If they gain a few yards on the ground, then so be it. But I'm not gonna let Tyreek and Travis wreck the game.
This is JB Biunno here, Chuck Pagano. Great having you here on Big Game Bound. I wanted to get you a retirement present here in case you don't come back to the game of football, but a little bit of Photoshop work. I don't know if you've ever been to lovely Tampa here, but
sweet.
You have to pack correctly, I think, is the big advice, right, you guys?
Probably don't need a hoodie. On a normal basis, we've needed it a few times here on this trip.
Coach knows how to dress casual, though. I'll tell you that.
Thank God you don't have me in a tank top or a swimsuit or something like that. It'd be bad ball. I'm in decent shape, but I ain't ready for no beach. That's
well,
awesome.
Coach, you know we love you, Coach. You're the absolute best. We appreciate the time, and whatever you do down the road, I'm always available if you want to take me out to lunch. So just remember that.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm right here in Zionsville, so we got Noah Grants over here. So let's roll.
Awesome. Coach, take care. Be healthy. Tell everybody, tell Teen in the gang we say hi and hope to see you soon.
Coach.
JP, take care, man. I love you. Give my best to your mom and Britt.
Love you, man. Will do.
See you guys. Thank you for having me.
All right, Chuck Pagano here, everybody on Big Game Bound. We're going to switch gears now and talk about a story here on social media, a story out of Kansas City, one that has really this is not the type of story that you want to hear, of course, in the days before Super Bowl 55. This is a crash involving, as we understand it reportedly, a crash involving the son of Kansas City Chiefs head coach Britt Reid, who is on, of course, the coaching staff for the Kansas City Chiefs. We go now to WDAF's correspondent there with the very latest on that story.
With a car out of gas, a family member came to help and parked their SUV further down the ramp. That's when police say a pickup truck collided with the first car, then slammed in the back of the family member's SUV. Police say 2 kids in the back seat of that SUV went to the hospital. A 4-year-old has less serious injuries, and a 5-year-old with life-threatening injuries. Now police are investigating whether that driver, identified by court documents as Britt Reid, was impaired. A search warrant filed by police to draw blood from the Chiefs linebackers coach after the accident shows the officer says when he made contact with Britt Reid, he could smell a moderate odor of alcoholic beverages on him, and his eyes were bloodshot and red. The officer asked Reid if he'd been drinking, and he advised he'd had 2 to 3 drinks and that he had taken the prescription medication Adderall. The officer says he did an eye test and observed signs of impairment. Reid was taken to Research Medical Center with stomach pains. The application for a search warrant also notes he'd had multiple prior DUI contacts, but didn't specify what those were.
So, as expected, head coach Andy Reid has boarded the plane and will be arriving here in Tampa. As we understand it, it'll be about 4 o'clock at Tampa International Airport here in Tampa Bay. Not on that flight, of course, is outside linebackers coach Britt Reid. So, guys, the big question now is, with this weighing on Andy Reid's mind, what kind of an impact, if any, is there on Super Bowl 55?
Well, obviously, leading up to the big game, you don't want any distractions, minor or major. This is certainly a major one, but I would say this wouldn't have happened in years past because the team would have traveled down here last Monday. They would have been here for the whole week, but a byproduct of COVID, they don't travel until today, so the team's still there. Tragic accident. hopefully everybody comes out of this, not so worse for the wear. We don't lose anybody. But, yeah, definitely something that is a huge distraction, especially not only just on your coaching staff, but your son. And that's something that will definitely be weighing on the mind of Andy Reid as they go for the defense of their Super Bowl title.
Yeah, and I hate to even call it a distraction. Chiefs did release a statement saying that their prayers were out to everyone involved, and there's a 5-year-old in critical condition right now. But, yeah, how does Andy Reid stay focused in this situation when he's got a son? He's already had another son that he's lost to an overdose. How does Andy Reid stay focused? How does he, keep this team ready to go?
Well, I think it's going to kind of depend on how the guys inside that locker room, I think all of his players, they know what's going on as well. They're reading all of the news and on social media. So that the team's going to have to pick him up. And I think they're going to. They're a family as well. And so, that's a part of his extended family. They're going to have to focus. But Andy Reid knows, going through tragedy before and going through situations that his focus, I think, is going to be strictly on this game. He knows how to be able to do that. And, getting here and trying to balance family in itself is hard. I remember having the conversation, with my father just about, when he went to the Super Bowl in New Orleans where my family was, all the tickets and everything that everybody wanted and trying to demand on that, making sure everybody's okay, plus the game. But there's a certain point he said he just had to block it all out. I think he's not going to forget about what's going on. I think he's going to have to handle it, and he will handle it. But I think as this game is going on, his mindset is really going to be focused on making sure that he can bring another championship back, which is not going to be easy. But I think when you look at this team, and especially a guy like Patrick Mahomes, you got a great leader and guys that are going to be able to pick him up during these tough times.
And, Jarrett, we've seen historically, probably most famously, when Brett Favre lost his father, then went out there on Monday Night Football and lit it up. There's something about athletes and guys in this industry, like you said, they can flip a switch, they can put on the blinders. Once the lights come on, it's all about the game. And that's part of being a professional, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's all about being a professional. It's a part of the game no matter what sport you're playing. But in the game of football, you have to. If you're not locked in, that's how you can get hurt or somebody else can get hurt on the field as well. So you always have to be locked in. And, you hate for this to happen, especially, the prayers go out to everybody that's been affected by this, especially those kids. But then you look at what you have to be able to do and what's on the field and what's at stake right now for this team. It's going to be hard for Andy Reid, but I think, being a coach, you have to multitask anyway. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of different personalities inside your locker room, just different things that, people are tugging at you this way and that way. This is something that Andy Reid has had to deal with, situations where he's getting pulled in different directions. His mind's on something, but we know him as a football coach. He is going to be locked in on Sunday, and I have no doubt that he's going to give his best on that sideline.
Yeah, that's one of those storylines we really don't like to talk about. You have to, and we'll see how that one evolves. Right now, let's move on to our team focus. This week, it's the Cleveland Browns, and to tee that up for us, here's John Telich, legendary sportscaster from Cleveland.
Hi everybody, greetings from Cleveland, where in most off seasons, the must-do list, well, it's longer than one of those receipts you get from a drugstore. You need a head coach, you need a GM. Well, this time around, they're fine in that department. They upgraded their offensive line. They got a tight end. Their offense seemed to click. But this time around, they need help in the back end of the defense. Denzel Ward is fine, but Grant Delpit, the rookie safety, and Greedy Williams, the second-year cornerback, both missed the year. They should be back, but you can never have enough corners and safeties for that matter. How about help for Myles Garrett on the defensive line or a speedy linebacker? They have salary cap money to go take care of some of these needs, but they also have to look to the future. Mayfield, Ward, Chubb, those guys are going to have to be taken care of as well. And the biggest irony is this. The NFL draft is a big deal in Cleveland, but this year, the Browns are drafting number 26 overall. And it happens right here in our town. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, John. He's been great covering us, giving us Browns information all year long. And, Jarrett, I want to start with what he started with. They finally go into a season, an off-season, where they know they're stable at head coach. How big of an advantage is that for them?
I think it's huge, for an organization like the Browns who've been searching for that coach. Stefanski's that guy that you can start sitting back and say, we're good here, and now we can start taking advantage of what we need to do down the line to try to figure out how we can get this team to a certain point where we can truly, truly contend in the AFC. And, now that you have that, then you can start moving around. But, man, everybody talks about quarterback, and that position is so key. But also as well, making sure that you have a head coach that can actually do the things that you need to get done and can lead your football team, I think is huge.
What about this, JP? I know the Browns are happy to be back in the playoffs. They won 11 games, but they missed a huge opportunity when they played the Chiefs. They lost by 5 points, 22-17. Mahomes got his bell rung. He's out of the game. You've got your chance. They outscored the Chiefs 14-3 in the second half. I think they made a big mistake. You talk about a young coach. They punt the ball away. They think they'll get it back. They never do. That's how the season ends. And props to the Chiefs for being able to get those first downs and milk the clock. But if I'm a Browns fan, I'm not satisfied. I think you left some money on the table there in that game against the Chiefs. You got Mahomes out. You got to go take that ball game.
Yeah, you do. And defensively, that's where I think in this offseason, you got to make a couple moves here and try to figure out how to kind of shore up that defense a little bit. Defensive end is definitely one of those issues where they got to figure out how to find a good defensive end. But also, too, in the secondary, cornerback has to be one of those positions that they have to either find, I don't know if it's through free agency, but also in the draft where they need to definitely address that. On the other side of the ball, though, Chris, you think about the quarterback position. They're stable there. So are they going to extend Baker Mayfield? I mean, they need to figure out about doing that as well. But offensively, to add to Baker, you need to find, and I know people, it's crazy. I was thinking about this morning that you need to find receivers, especially a number one receiver. And everybody's like, well, OBJ is going to come back. I don't know what's going to happen with OBJ. Jarvis Landry is great, but when you look at his person production, it was not there in 2020. So you definitely need a guy. So go into the draft where you can find one of those younger wide receivers to be able to get the job done for the long term. Landry, OBJ, good for right now. Long term with Baker as he grows, they need to be able to shore up that position as well.
All right, so put on your GM hat now, Jarrett. Are you going for that receiver in that first spot, or because they're deep in the draft, they're not used to this? It's been a while since their first pick was so late. Or do you solidify that defense? Are you just going best player available?
Oh, I always think you always got to look at best player available, but there are some receivers that I think you got to maybe hone in on. And if you can get that, especially later in the draft, why not? I always think of the offensive side of the ball. If you have your quarterback, you got to do whatever you can to be able to get him all of the tools that he needs to be successful. And we know in the AFC, if you're going to be able to, as Chris was talking about, you get close to beating the defending champs. Well, the one thing that you're going to have to do is you need firepower in that AFC. So I definitely would go wide receiver, I think, but also can't go wrong with trying to find a good corner, too, because that's a guy that can be stable. I'm glad I'm not a GM. These are two hard decisions to be able to make on the fly, especially when we don't have that much time. We need like 10 days to make one pick.
Hey, I'm glad I'm not a Browns fan because Chad Henne, 3rd and 14, you let him run like he's Lamar Jackson. Then he completes the pass on 4th down. The Browns should have gotten the ball back. I think they go down there and win that thing, and maybe they're in the Super Bowl. So you're right, Jared, as we always talk about, games come down to a few plays, and sometimes it could be a guy like Chad Henne that's making it.
Or JB Biunno. You never know.
Oh, man. JP.
Smooth.
Who on this team had the Browns with that first-round win, by the way? We need to go through the big game-bound archives here. Anybody call that, Jack? Did anybody predict that the Browns were going to win?
I had them.
You had them.
I had them getting to where they got. There's no way I had them beating the Chiefs. And
right.
When that game was in the fourth quarter and it was still on the line,
yeah,
then it was like, whoa. This can't be happening, can it? And it did.
Well, if you get good Baker Mayfield, he's feast or famine. I thought the Chiefs should be on upset alert. I wouldn't call him the pick, but I said, hey, I wouldn't be surprised. And then when Mahomes goes out, I'm like, Browns are going to win this game, and they found a way not to, which is very much like the Cleveland Browns.
You need good Baker, like not bad Baker, like the one that gets stuck
right.
outside with the groceries, in the commercial, right?
And sometimes it takes a while to learn to win. And Jarrett, what is that like? I mean, is it a flip that switch that gets flipped there, or do you have to learn how to win at this level?
Man, it's all about the culture inside of locker rooms, and it starts with ownership, and then also your GM and your head coach, and then who you have at quarterback. I mean, that is huge as well, because we know how big that position is in the game of football, and then it trickles down to be able to the guys that you're bringing into your organization. And so, you look at what Kansas City's done. You saw, and I know we always talk about the Patriots as well, but they create that. They create that, and over time, that becomes a part of their legacy. It becomes a part of their fabric, and I think that's what every team is hoping for. So the Browns are hoping that they're getting to that point. I think they're close, but they still have to figure it out. And I think this was just another taste of what it feels like to get close, and hopefully over time they can keep getting better. The hard part is, you're trying to keep up with Kansas City, and you're at their beck and call right now. So let's just see what happens. But it's not going to be easy, knowing that Patrick Mahomes is not going anywhere for a while, and that's the guy you got to take off of the throne in that division.
Yeah, and I know you love your Bulls, and we all watched the documentary last year, and you see the story about how even Michael Jordan and the Bulls had to learn how to win. There's a team you have to get over that hump. You have to go through stages. You can't just go from, okay, here we are, to, okay, now we're just a dynasty. Even for guys, some of the greatest of all time, there is that learning curve.
Yeah, and let's go back, and Jack knows this as well, being a Bears fan. My dad, the 85 Bears talked about that as well. I mean, it was like San Francisco. You got to get over San Francisco. You have to. And then finally you do, but you go through some rough times here and there, and then you start to feel, okay, this is what it feels like. What makes those teams special, is that when they get a taste of it, or they get to the promised land, it's how they do it the next year. Are they still as hungry as they were before, when they were scratching and clawing trying to get there? And that's what makes teams special, and that's what makes these dynasties that we've seen, especially in the Patriots situation with Tom Brady and Belichick and that whole entire staff and that whole entire organization, what makes them so special of getting back to the big game, because it is really, really hard. And we see some guys that are really great that never get a chance to even go to the big game and play. So it's a testament to their grind, to their hustle, and also to the culture inside of those locker rooms.
You talked about your dad, obviously a Hall of Famer. You had a big part in that induction. I'm going to tear up just thinking about it. But how much does it mean, not just to a player, but the immediate family, the extended family? It's really an honor that goes through a lot of folks, not just the player. You think about sacrifices made and time spent and the effort. As we get ready to announce the new Hall of Fame class, how special is that to you, just the memories not only of your pops, but just what that meant to the entire clan?
Man, I'm telling you, it's there's certain guys, Chris, that when, like my dad, it was the guys that are in the Hall. I don't know if all of them thought like this and there was their thought process, but my dad wanted to be there at the end. That was one of the big goals that was on his checklist. They're like, I got to get there, because once you get there, you're solidified. You're there forever, and you're talked about amongst the great. And it's a small fraternity of guys that get a chance to be able to be there. And so, yeah, it did. It meant a lot to me. I was only 13 years old, but I knew what it meant to him. And the fact that he had me induct him into the Hall of Fame made it even more special. So to be the first son to ever do that, I don't know if I can ever say I'm the first at anything, but I'm the first at that. And I go back to the guys. I mean, a couple of years ago, just seeing guys that I played with, like Ed Reed, like it's just it's crazy to know that a guy that I played with has a gold jacket on, guys like that are in that conversation of Reggie Wayne, who I played with, and Frank Gore. So it's the top of the top, and I think everybody wants to get there. And it's special for those guys. It's also special for the families, because we know how hard they sacrifice to be able to get to that point in their life.
That's still one of my favorite moments, seeing Jarrett introduce his dad.
I wonder how nervous were you? Do you remember? Getting ready to go up there?
Chris, I was sweating so much. I was so nervous. My flat top was sweating, man. Like It was awesome though. But I remember just hitting that joke. I told everybody, they were all clapping. I said, I'm trying to get this over with, and everybody laughed. And as soon as I said that, I just went and I took a couple breaths and knocked it out. But yeah, I had a chance a couple years ago when Brian Urlacher went in to go stand right at the spot where I did the speech, because it's different now than it used to be. You know, they have it in like the stadium now. It's all different. Right. And I just remember sitting there going, holy cow, are you serious right now? Like, I actually did this. And yeah, it's a moment that people still talk to me about. And it's cool that my dad knew that was going to be a part of my legacy and that he wanted to set that up for me. And as a 13-year-old, I was asking him, why are you doing this to me? But now I understand.
Jarrett Payton, you guys, all smiles here on Big Game Bound. Man, loving it, loving it. Hey, you know who's also, tickets to the gun show, JP, they're sold out. They're not behind me anymore, as you can clearly see.
Sign down.
Hey, that gun show is open 24 hours a day. It never shuts down.
JP smiling, we're all smiling. You know who's also smiling? Meteorologists here in the Tampa Bay area. You want to know why, you guys? Is because the weather has significantly improved and they don't have to cower after a forecast that was looking a little bit iffy, now looking really great here for kickoff tomorrow. For the very latest, here's our own Amanda Holly here with the very latest.
Happy Saturday, Big Game Bound fans. Meteorologist Amanda Holly keeping a very close eye on the Super Bowl 55 forecast. We did start out a little gloomier today. Those winds are gusty out of the southeast. We're tracking that front that has kept those rain chances in the forecast this weekend. Right now, it's sitting just to our north. That's where a lot of the moisture is as well. It's going to bring in those rain chances, especially as we head into Saturday night and into Sunday morning. But as we get closer to the game, those rain chances will be really coming down. So for the tailgating hours before kickoff, that rain will be ending as it moves to the south. Temperatures will be cooling off just a little bit for kickoff in the mid-60s. Skies will be clearing out and we will be drier. And by the time the last play ends, temperatures will be in the lower 60s and maybe a few clouds will linger, but we really won't be worrying about any rain. Be mindful though, overnight tonight and into Saturday morning, we could have a couple of stronger thunderstorms that could contain some damaging wind gusts and maybe some brief downpours. But this is mainly during the overnight hours. I'm talking early Sunday morning before sunrise, a couple of downpours moving through. But those clear out by about the noon hour in Tampa. We'll see some clearer skies and those rain chances really dropping. So don't let that 40% on Sunday scare you too much, because we will again be drying out for that big game. If you're in town for the rest of the week, rain chances stay in the forecast. They're on the lower side and temperatures will be in the mid-70s. For Big Game Bound, I'm meteorologist Amanda Holly.
I tell you what.
How about that? We'll hit the applause button for Mother Nature. Don't have to talk about a rain game, you guys. Super thrilled that it's going to be maybe a little bit wet for those of you watching here in the Tampa Bay area, maybe Kansas City Chiefs fans who have flown in. It might be a little bit rainy in the morning, but at least we know at Raymond James Stadium for kickoff, you guys, that it'll likely be quite clear.
If she were here right now, I'd give her a social distance hug. I really don't want to see rain during this game, Chris. Not at all.
Yeah, we suffered the cold weather earlier this week, or cold by Tampa standards. Mm-hmm. I think we deserve a nice, clean Sunday for the Super Bowl, and it looks like, at least by kickoff, clean and green, ready to rock and roll.
All right. What I think everybody at home right now deserves is to hear from one of my favorites. Kenny White, the Wizard of Odds, is going to join us now. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in Vegas right now. And Kenny, I'm curious, if it would have been like a downpour, what kind of an impact would that have had on the way people bet this game?
And Kenny, don't forget to unmute there, sir. It's okay. It happens to Jarrett Payton. If it can happen to Jarrett Payton, it could happen to Kenny.
This is the way we roll in these years. Oh,
still waiting. We need Big Game Bound next year in 2022. We'll have a lip reader on here.
I need some Tums after watching this show go like this. We can't hear him. Kenny.
Oh, yeah.
He's got some Tums for me. That's just what I need.
Alt-A, Kenny, if you got me on the keyboard, try Alt and A. We're going to listen.
I hope his picks are better than his computer science.
There you go.
There we
go. I'm usually through my board, and I didn't realize that Zoom had a mute as well. So, hey, thanks for having me, guys. Sorry about that. Yeah, I have my Tums. I'm going to need more Tums now after that Tums-worthy moment.
I'll tee that question up to you again, Kenny. If we would have had some kind of a downpour or a weather situation, how would that impact the way people bet this game?
Well, a grass field would have slowed down the offenses, and a downpour with wind probably would have dropped this total from 56 down to maybe 52, 51 and a half, in that range. Would have been a pretty big drop off.
We saw the number come out, and sometimes you'll see a number fluctuate, talking about the side, not the total. How does Vegas plant that number 2 weeks ago, and it just stays? Seems to happen like that almost every year. No matter where the money's going, no matter where the numbers are going, that line, it got there, and it's pretty much stayed there.
You know, well, they had a pretty good sample size to go off of. It's much easier to make numbers later in the year than it is early in the year. So, you know, and 3 is such a key number in the NFL that they knew that this game was going to be 3.5 in that range. We started out at the beginning of the week when this number was first put up, and 70% of the wagers were on Kansas City. That's since dropped to 64% now. This has been the lowest I've seen since the number came out. We're seeing 3s. Most of the 3s you had to lay before was minus 120. Now there's 3s out there minus 110, the traditional betting way. So a lot of money on Tampa. The professionals were taking 3.5 every opportunity they could get, but very few 3.5s. I don't really even see any 3.5s right now in the market. It's 3 across the board.
So, Kenny, I'm curious. We saw Mattress Mac make that $3.5 million bet, taking the Buccaneers and the points. Does that have an impact when somebody puts that much on a game?
Well, for the book that he betted at, they're going to need $3 million on the other side. I don't know if they're going to be able to get $3 million back on the other side. So, yeah, that'll be a big decision for that book. And, you know, Super Bowl games, you know, the point spread really doesn't come into play a whole lot. You just got to pick the winner of the game. The winner of the game is 45, 6, and 3 ATS. Just pick the winner, and you're gonna cover the point spread.
Yeah, that's the thing. You see the average gambler or the amateur, a lot of them, they jump in on the Super Bowl. They haven't gambled all year. They don't know the ins and outs like you do. But it's always fun to watch that 3 and that 7. You know, if you want the favorite, you're looking to like a day trader. You're hoping it dips to 6.5. You jump on. You mentioned the folks getting the Bucks at 3.5, and that's one of the things that's so exciting is it's everybody's on this game, and you have all these apps now, and you can see people. It doesn't move all the time, but one time, you know, sometimes you get one here at 3.5. You get it somewhere at 2.5 if on another book, and that's where you're getting in on the Chiefs. Are you surprised by how widespread this is now? So many states have legalized it, and it's something that is – I know some of them were in the closet all these years. It's not necessarily more people playing, but they're doing it in a legal way. The commercials are everywhere, and it seems like everybody has an app. So there are plenty of outlets for you to get something down.
So glad it's here. I'll say that, but we are 20 years behind the times. You go over across the pond and you can go into the stadium and bet the game at the game. The apps, I guess, are the same way. So you have the app, you go to the game, you're betting on your app, and you're right there, at least in the states that it is legal. We need to get it legal in all 50 states. It's a great entertainment value. In the casino betting, it's the best value for the player of any department in the entire casino. It's the lowest hold percentage. It's the one area that casinos fear because it's actually one area that they can actually lose in. Every other area of the casino, those built-in odds on blackjack, roulette, craps, bingo, whatever the game is, those odds, those theoretical odds turn out the same year in and year out. Sportsbooks fluctuate from a 1% win to maybe an 8% win one year. On average, they win about 5.5%, 6%. And that's everything. 10-team parlays are added into that, which is a huge hold percentage. Straight bets, sportsbooks only hold about 1%. So if you're just betting one game at a time, you're going to make your money last a long, long time.
Kenny, I'm going to venture a guess and say you may have laid down a wager once or twice in your life. So what's your advice to somebody who's just getting into this now? Are you looking for a number? Are you waiting until just before kickoff? You know, when's your go point?
You know, all games are a little bit different. In this Super Bowl game, I did make my wager. I took plus 3.5. I thought it was the the right side. I like Tampa in the game. I think they win the battle of the trenches, and I think that's where football games are won. Kansas City, yes, they have the better quarterback, may have the better coach. We can give that edge to them. But the offensive line for Kansas City is banged up. We've got 4 starters basically out of the game from the beginning of the season till now. They just continue to lose players. Where Tampa's lines have gotten stronger. Vita Vea coming back for Tampa is a huge upgrade, 1.5 points to their team rating, to their team defensive line. So that's where I think the game's won. I think Tampa will dominate the offensive and defensive lines in this football game. Playing at home was worth a point to me. So I thought this game should have been at the most Kansas City a 1-point favorite. I think it's going to be a close game. It goes right down to the wire. I do like the game lower scoring. There's so much pressure in Super Bowls. Of the last 7 totals that were 50 points or higher, 6 of the 7 went under the total. The only game that went over was that New England comeback against Atlanta, which was a dead under. And it did take overtime to get it to go over the total. So the last 7 totals over 50 in regulation have gone under the number. Again, it's all about the pressure in this football game. It's a different animal than the regular season games.
What do you think about all these exotics and prop bets that they have for the Super Bowl? So many crazy things, from the national anthem to the nostrils of a coach. Jack, you were talking about that. Those are just for fun. There's really no way you can handicap those. So you want to go small potatoes on things like that, don't you?
Yeah, I'm going to say small potatoes on all of the prop bets, guys, because you know what? Sports books are not putting these prop bets up so they lose money. They have crushed the prop bet market 23 of the last 25 years. And that's because everybody bets everything over. And I'll tell you, there are professional bettors that come out of the woodwork and they only bet this one game because they're betting everything under. They were probably praying for the rain, because they would love more than anything for this game to finish 3-0. The lower the scoring the game is, the more money those professional bettors make on these props, and the more money the general public will lose, because every bet is over. They're over on Tyreek. They're over on Kelsey. They're over on Mahomes. They're over on Brady. It's just every player is over. But not everyone can go over. And as I said, there's so much pressure in this game. It's just such a big game, and it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, so that being said, are you going Bruce Arians or Andy Reid for the nostrils showings?
It's funny they have the Gatorade bath. I was really shocked to see orange is even money. Everything else, there's a high plus money on any other color of Gatorade. Orange is even money right now. 100 will win you 100 if you think it's going to be orange.
What's the most ridiculous prop bet you've ever seen that just jumps out to you?
Boy, there's been so many different prop bets, but I don't know. Maybe that is the most ridiculous. I guess Tom Brady's wife, how many times she's seen on camera during the game? It's like 3.5. That's been up there. I love the cross sport props are my favorite stuff to do because they come out before betting lines are out. So one prop that I bet this year, Villanova will score more points, minus 13.5 to the Super Bowl total. I think Villanova scores 80 tomorrow. So that means I'm going under 67.5 or 66.5. if they get that many points. I hope they have a big game. I hope it goes in overtime and they score 100. So
I thought the Wizard of Oz was going to have some breakdown and say, well, in 65% of the games, Andy Reid's nostrils come out within the first 3 minutes, so that's where the smart money is. But yeah, I guess that's asking for a little too much.
I'll give you this angle that the coin flip, you can heads or tails minus 101 in a lot of books because it's 50%. You flip a coin and it's 50%. However, the coin they flip, it takes 8 guys to carry this coin out, and then to flip it, it's so big. There's so much weight on the top part of that coin that if it lands, the heavy part goes to the ground, which is the heads, and tails shows up. Tails has won 6 of the last 8 times in the Super Bowl. Wow. So
there you go.
I'm going with tails again this year, and it's the weight of the coin.
Jack, Chris, I need to know the over-under on the amount of times the CBS broadcast shows Buckified Bert. That's what how many times does Buckified Bert get on the CBS broadcast? What do you guys think?
I'm going to go 2.5, and the over is minus 180.
I think you will see more of Giselle than you will Buckified Burt. We'll see Buckified Burt right away.
Is that a money line proposition there?
I need
because
to ask.
I'll take Buckified Burt plus the 300.
Our Buccaneers super fan who was on yesterday on Big Game Bound, man, he is going to the big game. He's also a WFLA employee here. He's usually in the studio, usually where I'm sitting. But Buckified Burt, man, I just hope we get him on the broadcast, you guys.
Think about this: so fewer amount of people in the building too. They're not gonna have so many people to choose from. So I think that's going to up the chances for the over on Buckified Burt as well.
I think you're going to see more healthcare workers tomorrow, though.
Yes.
For sure.
Yep.
But let's get Kenny back on for a second because Kenny has been joining us all year long on Big Game Bound. He's done such a great job breaking down the numbers, but you see the big Tums sign. I know you're doing some work for Tums, Kenny. So what's the deal? What can fans enjoy there?
Yeah, Tums has come up with a fun way to enjoy the big game, and it's tumsworthybingo.com. That's how you go to the website, tumsworthybingo.com, and it's bingo, and it's not numbers, it's plays that happen in the game. Tumsworthy moments on and off the field. Could be a 10-yard run, could be a sack, could be a penalty. You get a tile on your bingo board, and Tums will take care of those tiles on the website, so you'll be able to see your board all day. When something happens, you see you get a tile. You're trying to get one bingo, a straight line bingo, and you're going to get it. I guarantee it. I made sure. You may get a blackout, but all you need is a straight line bingo to get yourself in the sweepstakes for a piece of the $55,000. The grand prize is $35,000. It's free. Just go to tumsworthybingo.com. As I said, it's so easy. No app required. And then you follow along with the game. Now, the trick is, though, you got to go on social media to Twitter if you want. You don't have to, but every time something happens and you do get a tile and you tweet it out, you get an extra entry into the sweepstakes. Gives you a better chance to win that $35,000 grand prize. So you can also tweet out your Tumsworthy moment, that spicy bowl of chili or those hot chicken wings that you ate and you needed those. I know I'm going to need them. I've been using them for 20 years. I'm going to have chicken wings tomorrow, and there'll be 2 Tums right after the chicken wings. So I'll tweet that out. I'll get another entry into the sweepstakes. That's all you got to do. Tumsworthybingo.com. Go get signed up, get your bingo board.
Yeah, and one thing we've learned, there'll be 1.3 billion chicken wings eaten on Super Bowl Sunday, and Americans will consume $1.3 billion worth of beer.
Tums to Tums.
And hopefully $1 million worth of Tums.
Last question for you, Kenny. How many bets will you lay yourself on Super Bowl Sunday?
I'm the shotgun approach, and I'll play small, and I'll play a bunch of them. So, a lot for fun, but, a lot of my stuff is going to be on under as well. I went under Ronald Jones. I went under Patrick Mahomes passing yards. I went under Tyreek Hill receiving yards, under Kelsey yards. My fun ones are, will the game be decided by exactly 3 points? I took plus 350 on that. It's a key number, can happen. The spread is 3, but I think Tampa could win by 3 as well. Another fun one, total players with a pass attempt in the game. I went over 2.5. I'm hoping we see Kelsey maybe get under center, take a snap, throw that short pass, or we could see hopefully a Philly special in this one. So I'm hoping we get 3 guys to throw a pass. Antonio Brown at 50-1 is my long shot to win the MVP.
All right. Kenny White, he's done such a fantastic job for us all year long on Big Game Bound. Last year, we also used him in the coverage on draft day. He's just really great. Great read. Look him up. The Wizard of Odds. And thanks for all your work, Kenny. So
thanks, guys.
Fun to talk betting in Vegas. And a lot of stuff I don't understand yet. Clearly, by the way you phrased your questions, Chris, you're a veteran.
Well, talking about those prop bets, you'll appreciate this. It was the NBA Finals, the Lakers and Pistons. I was in Vegas, and it had the over-under on free throws made by Ben Wallace. It was 1.5. So like the Wizard of Odds said, I took the over. First possession, he's fouled. He makes the free throw. Didn't make one the rest of the game.
Yeah, I watched a lot of games.
I needed one more free throw. Ben Wallace could not deliver. So,
you should have called me before you made that bet, because I watched Ben Wallace brick a lot of free throws. Loved watching him play. Fear the Fro. He's part owner right now of Grand Rapids G League team, but he couldn't shoot a free throw to save his life.
Well, I hope he's happy now, because I was not that night.
What did it cost you?
Let's not talk about that on air, Jack. People are watching.
What a fun show today.
Oh,
Chuck
definitely.
Chuck Pagano, Kenny White, Jarrett Payton as always, JB, you too, Chris.
Well, thanks for remembering to say my name there, Jack. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Yeah, it's been a long week, but we're still just one day away. The big game bound. The big game is almost here.
And we're going to go big tomorrow. 2 hours from 2 to 4, right, JB?
That's right, 2 to 4 o'clock, right here on this website app or social media platform. Man, we're gonna hear from Lawrence Taylor, Mike Singletary.
Oh boy,
we're gonna have some big showings here tomorrow on Big Game Bound with our own Jarrett Payton, who, that is like the interview captain of our squad. He's just lining up interview after interview. I guess when you are what's your nickname for him, Chris?
The son of sweetness.
The son of sweetness. I guess that comes with people are going to pick up the phone.
Now, speaking of which, when we have Mike on tomorrow, we saw Jarrett. He knows his father's lines to the Super Bowl Shuffle. Can Samurai Mike still break out the lyrics for his part in the Super Bowl Shuffle 35 years ago? I bet he can.
I bet you they all can.
Yeah.
It was just I can't believe that I can't. But, my brain doesn't function the way others do. So, but that was quite a time to be a Bear fan.
And they shot that video, made the song before they even made the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
How confident was that Bear squad?
You just knew. You knew. I mean, that was that team that year. It was just kind of a shame for Chicago that they didn't get one or two more because they had the talent to win. That should have been just one of those quick dynasties.
Colts fans in Indianapolis are saying the same thing. Only got one with Peyton Manning. But as we said, JB, time to get out of here. You ready to?
2 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, you guys. The final Big Game Bound of the 2020-2021 season. We can't wait to bring it to you. Our 2-hour pregame special begins 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Central. Jack Doles, Chris Hagan, Jarrett Payton, myself, a bunch of other reporters here with the Next Star team that has descended upon Tampa Bay, Florida. We can't wait to have you here with us next time on Big Game Bound. Again, the final one of 2020-2021's NFL season ahead of Buccaneers and Chiefs. The kickoff at 6:35 on CBS. But before that, we're back tomorrow on Big Game Bound.